I'm Scarlett. I'm the Welfare Officer at the Students' Union at University of the Arts London. So I was elected by students to represent them on issues around well-being, mental health, liberation, equality and diversity and housing issues. One of my big campaigns over the past 2 years has been on mental health. This is something that I've suffered with personally, but also is a big issue with universities nationally. So over the last few years, there's been a reported 133% increase in mental health amongst students. A study by HEFKE found that nearly 18,000 students had self-declared themselves with mental health difficulty, with the most selective institutions experiencing 157% rise in mental health rates. During my 3 years at UAL, I experienced ongoing mental health issues. A lot of this was to do with the pressure to succeed and the kind of competitiveness that's fostered at university. And since the tuition fees have tripled, there's been a direct link between the mental health rates of students going up and the amount of debt that they have to cope with, which just creates an environment where you feel like if you don't succeed, you've wasted so much money, and there's even more pressure to get a job afterwards. And yet we know that jobs in the arts are so slim that we're really unlikely to get a job in the first place. But it wasn't just my course that exacerbated my mental health issues. It was also the culture and environment that was fostered around UAL. So I come from quite a poor background, and I got full maintenance grant and bursary that you could get, but I still couldn't afford to live in halls of residence. So I ended up living alone in a house with strangers who weren't students. I didn't have anything in common with them, and I felt really lonely and isolated, and I missed my freshers week because I couldn't move down in time, and I didn't really meet many people. So from the start I just had quite a negative experience, and this kind of I feel tainted my whole time at university. So by the time I got to my second year of uni, I was suffering quite badly. My self-harm had been worse than it had ever been. I was could barely leave the house, couldn't really do any work, and I went to my doctor, and they basically gave me antidepressants, which kind of did get me through the year, but I was never really given any adequate help. I waited a year for 3 sessions of CBT on the NHS. I was given group therapy, and when I went, they told me I was too ill to be there. And when I went to the university counselling service, they offered me 2 to 3 sessions, and they said that I would have to go private. And when I asked how I was going to pay for that, they told me to ask my parents to pay, which obviously couldn't do. So just all of these experiences that I had was one of the reasons why I ran to be welfare officers, because I wanted to change it basically. I didn't want other students to have to go through this, and that's just what I've been working on the last 2 years, and we have seen some really big successes. So we've got £250,000 more funding into counselling, so hopefully our students won't have to have the same experience that I had.
I am called Miffy Mountford. I study at LCC, I study film and TV.
So my name's Jake, studying graphic design at LCC, and then so I'm living in London, but I'm from Manchester, just outside of Manchester, and yeah, 20 years old. That's about it really.
My name is Elizabeth, and I'm Ukrainian. I'm 22 years old, and I'm studying graphic design. I'm on my last year.
Okay, so I'm Steven. I'm originally from Paris. I'm actually currently studying fashion design at the College of Fashion.
Okay, my name's Naz, and I'm a mature student studying fine art at Chelsea School of Art. I had a complete nervous and mental breakdown about 7 years ago.
For me personally, Most of the time it's been quite positive, although there's been like a few occasions which it's just not been too easy, but for me I'm quite lucky and most of the time it's been quite easy for me.
Well, I'm actually resitting my first year at the minute because the last time that I did do the same course and the same school and everything, but I came down September before last, but then I just couldn't handle the work at the time just because I had a lot of things going on around me, like family stuff. Like someone passed away and it's like I lost my house where I was living and stuff, and I could not do the work basically, and that's when I kind of broke down a bit and then finished about 5 months in, and then obviously I've come back in September, restarted again, just started afresh, and then yeah.
I'd say greatly, because university is really different from school or college. It is way more isolated, that I would say, and if in school you have to come every day and the classes are really structured and you have your group, your classmates that you are with all the time. In university it's different, especially in arts university. We're not as connected as a group, that ought to say, and that's why it is a really big jump from college to university.
Oh, that's a huge story. It's not easy every day to be at university when you have anxiety and depression, because obviously it affects the way you work, and the amount of work also affects the way you feel. So it's sometimes really hard and sometimes it's easier. But the good thing for me is I try to involve my moods in my projects. Like it's better to work with them than against them. So I found a way to be productive with them.
Through studying at university, it has made me more determined to cope with my mental health issues, although at times university does really have an impact on how I study, especially in certain situations like group tutorials, certain situations where I have to face new environments. It does cause anxiety.
Mental health definitely affects work so much. Like, it affects what you can do, it affects you wanting to get up and go to lectures. Also just headspace, I find it's a lot easier to, when you're feeling good, you can control your work. When you can't control yourself, then how are you meant to control your work? I think it's completely underestimated. It's a massive part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I get extended deadlines on some of it, but it's only a couple of weeks, but that's only for written work. But the thing is though, with because I never know when I'm going to have a good day or a bad day, or whether I'll do something that will turn me into, I'm not going to be able to function, and then so it just kind of ends up where it's really hit and miss. It's usually like 1 week where I'm feeling really good and then I'll get it all done, but then obviously that's not enough time to really do it. So yeah, that's it really, I guess.
I'd say most definitely yes, because if you have depression or any other kind of mental illness, it's like you have someone sitting on your shoulders, and there's always this weight, and absolutely everything you do becomes way harder, 3 times harder, I'd say 5 times harder, compared to other people, obviously, because just everything takes way more time, and time is usually not something we have as students.
Yes, sometimes it does. When you're very stressed, you can't be as productive as you wish. And you see other people working like in the normal way, if you can say, and you're like very frustrated because, oh my god, they can do much more than I do, and you need more time sometimes. You need to focus, and sometimes you can't, because when you have anxiety, your mind is all over the place, but not where it has to be. So yeah, focusing is really hard, even like sometimes just listening to people, or even waking up and having the motivation to go to university, it's really hard. Sometimes.
And how?
Especially when what I call, in the depressive element, what I call the shades descend on me and they take over, and it's very difficult to exorcise those shades away so that I can come out and face university and the work that's in front of me.
I think everyone finds what works for them. So I'm still on medication and that helps me. I think for me personally, I write like gratitude journals and mindfulness and meditation and things like that really help, and just taking the time for myself. If I don't take time for myself, then I can burn out and just get completely overwhelmed and it all goes pear-shaped then.
Well, I'm on some tablets. I'm on like 40 milligrams of that citalopram on that, and then that does help because it helps with like anxiety and stuff as well. But then apart from that, it's more just friends, like especially people that live here. Like they'll come and they know I'm having a bad week, they'll come and knock on my door and get me to uni and like get the bus with me and stuff. So that definitely helps things.
I'm not the best person to ask. It's really hard. I won't say that I'm doing a great job, even though there are a lot of resources for the mentally ill people in UAL, because I guess a lot of the art students are suffering from this type of illnesses, and that's why this type of people usually long for art and choose this path. So there is help, but because for everyone, depression and other illnesses, they show differently. Even if you were diagnosed with the same thing, it doesn't mean that it's the same for everyone. And for me personally, it was harder to find the right kind of help, and obviously because a lot of people here have the same problems, it's hard to get the help because everyone needs it.
Well, I changed my diet, so it's more now vegetables, fruits, loads of water, and also food supplements like L-tyrosine, L-theanine, vitamins, codfish oil, everything that can help. I take them just to feel better, and also meditation, mindfulness, big part of my healing. Also exercises, yoga or just cycling, physical activity.
It's mainly with medication and determination, but it is a very difficult situation to overcome at time. Even though the medication does help, at times the anxiety is so strong that it's hard to cope with.
It will get better. I think you've got to really remember the good things and concentrate on that, and it's okay to have bad days because everyone has bad days, and some people's bad days are worse than others, and that's okay because bad things happen to everyone, but if you have a bad day, you will have a good day eventually, so you just got to keep positive and keep looking towards that.
Just be strong, I think. The thing I've only really started to realise over the past sort of year is that things that have happened to you in the past that might be affecting it now, or even if it's just things that are happening now, it all makes you stronger. And it does not seem like that at the time, but you become a much thicker skinned person. And I don't know, I always say that, people with mental illnesses, we see the world in a different way. And you can look at that in a positive because we just see things on a much deeper level. And that's quite a good thing, so just keep at it because it will get better, and everything, it all works out in the end. Somehow, no matter how much shit is happening, it works out, so just keep at it. Yeah.
I would say that be open about your situation, don't keep it to yourself, because you are going to struggle. It is going to be hard in university if you're mentally ill. But there is help. Even if it's not perfectly suited for you, there's still help. and if you won't be silent, you'll get that help. You have to talk to tutors and be open about it. Talk to, maybe even kind of show it somehow to your course mates, because everyone is battling a battle we don't know about. So everyone has problems, and I think a lot of people are willing to be there for you.
I would say you're not fucking alone. When we feel very anxious or depressed, we think like, oh, yeah, we are burdened to other people and we just don't want to share what we have. But the truth is, lots of people feel anxious, stressed, and they don't want to talk about it, but we need to just, I can say, yeah, just be aware that we are not alone. There's lots of people outside that feel the same as us, and we are a group.
To be determined, and I know it's a strange thing to say, but embrace the mental issues that you have. Look at them, try and analyse them, because every element of human life is part of the human condition, and within that there is artistic value which can create things, and that's the way I try and cope with it as well.
Be patient and try and understand, even though it's difficult to understand. I think just be there as well. I think that's a massive part of it. You just got to be there, and if someone wants help, be there and be understanding, and don't judge, no nastiness, just be nice, just be a nice person. I don't think that's too difficult.
Just be patient, I think, because I think that's the problem. If someone maybe can't come out for a few weekends, or they're not making it into uni, or they're just not even being cold but just being a bit kind of, but you know that they're suffering, then just be patient with them. You don't have to give your all, just little things like how you doing, or like making them a cup of tea. Seriously, it does wonders. So yeah, just be a bit understanding, really.
It's the reverse to what I said to people that are like me. Be accepting towards people, be there for people, because if you help someone who is in trouble and who is having a hard time, it only benefits you. Be open and kind to other people, and it will get back to you.
The thing is, people, they can't understand as long as they've not been through it. So I would just say, just have compassion to people, try to be with them, not to push them too much, like with pressure, and just listen when they need to be listened to, or just be there when they need to as well.
It's easy when you see someone with a broken arm, you can empathise or give them sympathy. When someone's got mental health issues, it's very difficult to understand and see how a shattered mind is there. Try and understand it, try and comprehend what they're going through, because it can easily happen to anyone at any particular time in life.
I'm Suzette. I study publishing at LCC.
I'm Denai. I'm doing an MA in printmaking at Camberwell.
I'm Dolby and I'm studying fashion design at LCF.
I think it's a very stressful time. There are a lot of pressures on students.
Yeah, I think it definitely affects students a great deal, especially for students who are just starting off. It's a huge adjustment, and if you're going to school in a big city, you're dealing with basically two things at once, and it can be hard to figure out the balance.
Yeah, and I think for people who aren't from here as well, who are traveling back home a lot, find it hard to get settled in London. So I think that's like a big thing, because you don't make friends when you should sometimes.
I think also another layer to the problem is that you see a lot of what people are projecting, you know, the sense of confidence of getting on, you know, having fun, but what you might be feeling, or what even they might be feeling, is quite different, and that creates a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Biggest issue. I guess, I mean, when I first started many years ago,
Yeah.
I feel like it was probably adjusting and making friends. Yeah, I think it was just weird having to start over and I guess live up to, I guess, like the whole, oh, you're going to college and you're going to experience all these things, and when you don't experience any of those things, you kind of feel like you haven't measured up, or something's wrong, or you're just not doing it right. So I feel like it can be hard navigating that world, especially if you're doing it for the first time.
Yeah. In my experience, at least from myself and the people who've come to talk to me, also not career choice, but course choice is actually a major issue. Many people don't feel that, they feel that they've kind of dived into something that they're not sure about, whether it's going to be what they want.
Yeah, whether they'll get like the right job in it as well, pressure from parents, with what jobs they can actually get from what they've studied is another massive one.
And I guess that pressure of making sure that you get the right job and you're living up to, the fantasy of you leave school and then immediately you have this perfect job and you're living the life that you've always dreamt about.
Yeah,
but I mean,
city.
yeah, but like that doesn't really happen, and you spend all those years kind of hoping that you'll get there, and when it doesn't happen, then it's a big disappointment. And I think a lot of students put a lot of pressure on themselves to make sure that they do get to this place, this idealized version of where they think they should be at. Roommates.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's the biggest one for my students anyways.
With me, surprisingly, most of the people who come to talk to me, it's been about kind of course choices, like choosing their courses and also coping with workload, that kind of thing.
I'd say mine's been a bit of a mix. Some has been things to do with mental health, but then it's also homesickness has been like a massive thing as well.
I'm just gonna call it a nice lead, to be quite honest.
I mean, I think it's very difficult. The problem with mental health is that unless someone reaches out, no matter how many services you have, you cannot meet their needs. And so one of the biggest challenges for a kind of well-being peer service is to kind of encourage people, if they have problems, to speak out about it. But in an environment where you're surrounded by peers who, seem to be fine and enjoying themselves, it's really difficult.
I think probably taking it on, I know it's difficult with universities because there's so much going on and it's really hard to cater to everyone, but I think there does need to be some sort of effort on understanding that mental health isn't a one-size-fits-all, and that's kind of been the biggest complaint that I've heard, that they feel like their personal issues aren't being addressed properly, and they also feel like they're being passed to different counselors, and and they feel like they're just a strain as opposed to getting actual help. So I think maybe if we could somehow not personalize it, but just look at students as having their own individual issues.
But that's the thing, because it's so true. Like when you go back to someone about that kind of thing, you need that consistency. You're almost like someone you can actually lean on a bit more. And I know with the counselling service, there's a limit to how much counselling you can get as well. So if it was possible to perhaps have more time with like a certain counsellor or something like that.
I think the additional problem with UAL is that we're talking about 6 colleges. You have the centralized administration, you have the college administration, then you have the actual halls of residence. It's just very difficult to coordinate all that to make sure that you have a consistent service.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are some professors that are in the loop about these things. I mean, they're meant to check in on their students, but I think that's not their job, so it can be hard for them to just make sure so-and-so is doing well, or to see those signs. Speak up. It doesn't have to necessarily be seeking out a counselor or a well-being peer. I mean, it could be as simple as just putting it on social media. I think a lot of people think that they're weird or something's wrong with them if they're going through something. But if you put it on social media, what I've seen are a lot of people who can provide that support. I mean, that's how a lot of people kind of get through their days. They start off in the morning saying, I need help, or I can't get out of bed. And immediately you'll see someone saying that you can, and providing a lot of encouragement. So I think if you can find someone, however it is, whether it's social media, a friend, or a counselor, just putting it out there that, that you need help, or that you're not going through a good time at the moment. Just letting people know and being open with it does a great deal.
I would say even if where you are at the moment seems terrible, dead end, a black hole, that you'll never come out of, just hold on to the fact that things will change. There is a future ahead of you. It isn't it, it's just a state of mind.